Last Thursday, I went on a job shadow at one of the elementary schools that really is technology friendly. I went to Arlington Heights Elementary School, which is part of the MCCSC school district, and it is considered a Title I school. Because it's part of the MCCSC school district, there is a huge push for iPads. So grades 3 through 6 are 1-to-1 ratio, but the younger grades, K through 2, they only have enough iPads for the students to work in small groups. Even though not all the students have iPads, all the teachers do have their own iPads, which is really nice even in the younger grades because it allows for variety in their centers and they can practice using the iPad and the teachers can also practice integrating iPads into the classroom, so it allows them to have a chance to find different apps that the students might enjoy and that they can work on even before the students have their own iPads. One thing I found interesting about the setup of this school is how they use their tech coach. And on the particular day that I went, Miss Reynolds went in to teach a third grade lesson, and she had the students practicing the I-STEP test because I guess there's been a pretty big push for the I-STEP to come out with an iPad format. But one of the big concerns with that is the students won't know how to use the tools on the app, and that might affect their test scores. So this app allowed them to practice using the bookmark tool and the highlighting so that way when they go to take the test, they're familiar with it. And then after they finished their English language arts question, they were asked to do the Front Row app, which I found extremely interesting because the students were just working on base 10 problems, but they were so excited about it. The problems you could have done on paper just as easily, but they just loved being able to use all the tools and the features on the app. And one student even told me that he was just blown through some problems because he did it at home and he liked to practice at home even though the teacher doesn't assign it for homework. So I just found it really interesting that the Front Row app really engages the students and makes them want to do the math at home. Another thing I thought that was really cool that this school used was a website for iPad friendly sites, and Miss Reynolds has actually created this website herself, and what she's done is basically just compiled a list of all of the websites that are friendly to use on iPads because not all of them are really formatted very nicely for touchscreens in the iPads, but this website actually allows students, they can search it and then any of the websites on this list they can go to. And so it was really nice because on like when they were practicing for the I-steps, she just told them to go to the iPad friendly site, which all the students knew. They went to it and then she just said click on the first link. And so all the students just clicked on the first link and it went right to the I-step practice. And it just seemed like such an easier way to get all the students to the same place as opposed to writing the URL on the board or creating a bunch of QR codes. This just seemed like a really effective method to getting students where you need them to go. Also on the day I was there, she worked with a second grade class, which I was kind of curious to see how that would work since they don't have their iPads, but she basically just did a computer lab lesson. Most of our time was spent trying to log the students onto the computer since they're so young. Most of them forgot their usernames. But once they got on the computer, they like to play Big Universe, which they can just read books or have books read to them. So it was a really, really cool educational game that really promoted reading. And then at the very end, she introduced the augmented reality app. And before the students came to class, they had colored a worksheet. And so then during the augmented reality portion, she could bring that worksheet to life and they could watch the pumpkins dance around. And it was really cool to see the kids that excited about technology. If you want to read more about my job shadow, I created a blog post on my blog EdTech for Kids, which you can check out at the URL at the top of the page.